So let's start with the addressable linear TV scene. We hear a lot of talk about more inventory being made available. It has to happen. People need it to happen, both on the buy side and the sell side. Are you seeing any progress on that front?
Yes, we're seeing some progress there. So two ways that we're seeing progress. Additional operators who are enabling addressable. So Verizon Fios would be an example there, as well as Charter Spectrum. So those are two new operators in the last year and a half, depending on which one you're talking about. More recently, I've seen some outreach from a few of the networks, a few of the larger network groups who have secured some inventory on the Comcast platform, coming to us and wanting us to invest in addressable TV through the programmer as opposed to the MVPD. So that's a big difference. It's a small start. We have been calling for that for many years because, as you point out, the 2 minutes of local time is a limitation, and we'd like the market to get bigger, that there be access to more inventory. So as I said, the two ways to do that are more operators, and then the programmers are being able to enable addressable on their inventory as well, and we're starting to see that.
So what, if you had to point to one or two things, what is holding back the availability of more inventory?
Well, I would say it's highly related to those two things. So first of all, not all cable, both of the satellite operators have enabled addressable, but not all the cable operators have. So, and as you know, there are many cable operators once you get past the largest ones. And the smaller operators have not enabled the technology on their platforms. So it remains to be seen whether they will do that and how many of them will do that. So to the extent that not all operators have the technology enabled, that limits the amount of inventory that we can get and also the national reach that we can get. We do get sort of national reach with the satellite operators because they can be accessed anywhere, but it's a spotty national. It's not as if all the cable operators were addressable enabled, then we would be able to reach all the pay TV homes, which we cannot do today. So that's one limitation. The other would be that the programmers do not, in general, have access to addressable technology, so they cannot sell us their inventory on an addressable basis currently. There are some ways that may happen in the future with ATSC and some other ad replacement technologies which are not today widely deployed. So for the most part, it's generally been the 2 minutes of local inventory that's been enabled and not the much larger amount of national inventory. Then we also have on the cable side, so for example with Comcast, they've enabled all of their VOD inventory to be addressable, but not all of their linear inventory. So that's a big amount that's not enabled because majority of viewing is in linear, not in VOD. And if you can't deliver, you can only deliver in a limited number of their markets and a limited number of their households. So not having it on the full linear footprint on Comcast also limits the amount of available inventory.
So lots going on in the OTT, the connected TV space. What are you seeing that you find particularly encouraging?
Well, I mean, the first thing is that consumers are consuming content in that way. We're seeing a very significant amount of growth in the amount of viewing by consumers on connected TV. That is growing. I mean, if you look at Pivotal's numbers, I believe in 2014, about 1.9% of viewing by adults 18 to 49 was connected TV or OTT, and today that's over 12% projected in 2017. So a very robust growth. We've also seen that our clients and our teams are responding to that. There's a certain percentage of the population who are, call them cord cutters, cord nevers, who are reachable through connected TV, who you're not going to find with a traditional linear buy. So there's a certain segment of the population, that's the only way that you can expose them to a TV advertising message. And then there are people who are, call them cord shavers, people who are, they have both pay TV and they view on connected TV. but the number of hours that they're spending on traditional linear TV that they access through a set-top box, or a traditional set-top box, if you will, those hours are declining, and they are also watching on connected TV. So you have fewer opportunities to reach them on linear TV, and you can reach them on connected. Now, overall, as I said, I mean, even if you're at 12 and change %, the majority of the viewing is still on linear TV, which is where we spend, you know, the vast majority of our TV dollars. But since this viewing is moving to streaming and connected TVs, we need to follow the consumer. If the consumer wants to view in that way, then we need to figure out how to reach them in that way. Now, as you can imagine, a lot of the viewing, the #1 app on connected TV is Netflix. No ads there, and there are a number of other ad-free options like HBO, Showtime. For the most part, Amazon Prime does not carry advertising, but there also are quite a few ad-supported services, and those are growing. So things like Crackle, Vudu now has a ad-supported group of content, Vivo, and upstarts like Pluto TV, and a lot of other apps that are now becoming more and more popular on connected TV, so that there's more inventory, more ad-supported inventory, more ad impressions that can be accessed there.
And that also brings more fragmentation, does it not?
To a certain extent it does, in terms of channels that are being viewed, or apps, if you will. But there's two different ways of advertising there. So Hulu obviously has been the leader. Hulu, if you really think about it, Hulu is a connected TV app. They are not generally accessed on a traditional TV through a cable or satellite app or a set-top box. And the fact of the matter is the vast majority of their impressions, somewhere in the 75% range, are consumed on a TV via streaming. So Hulu really is connected TV, and it's the largest publisher. And that's bought in a very specific way. Roku probably would be next after that. Roku aggregates inventory on the Roku platform that they secure from programmers. So, you know, when a new app shows up on Roku, Roku seeks to have an inventory split where they have ad inventory to sell. So Roku has been a significant source of inventory, but the vast majority of that has been transacted in what I would call a direct I/O fashion. It's a sort of it's a managed service, in essence, ad network, where you're buying across the entire footprint of that, whether it be Hulu or Roku. But we're starting to see, and we're working on programmatic activation. So buying audiences, instead of buying demo, buying audiences on connected TV, which I think is the promising area. And we're working very hard to identify the partners, the DSPs, SSPs, apps that we can work with in order to enable a programmatic pathway for our digital teams, or even just our video teams in general, to be able to access audiences on connected TV across any connected TV device, whether it be a smart TV, a game console, or what I call the boxes and the sticks like Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Chromecast, where we can sort of, the fragmentation is somewhat less of an issue when you're buying an audience across apps.